welcome back to goldstocktrades.com. Today we have a new and special guest with us, Robert Giustra. Robert is chairman of Allegiant Gold. Allegiant can be traded as AUAU on the TSX Venture, and it also can be traded as AUXXF on the OTC. Thanks, Robert, for being here with us today and for giving us an introduction to this new exploration story, Allegiant Gold, in Nevada.
Thanks, Jeb. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Well, let's talk what makes Allegiant Gold so special. It's a new company, meaning it's a new issue, but the people behind it are some of the most oldest and experienced and have some of the best track records of finding gold in Nevada. Talk to us about this new company, Allegiant Gold, and the people behind it.
Well, Allegiant checks all the boxes, Jeb. It's the right story at the right time and in the right place and with the right people. And what I mean by people, it's track record of the individuals involved, particularly Andy Wallace. Andy is responsible personally for 4 major gold discoveries in Nevada that became mines, and his group, co-led with his former partner, John Livermore, is responsible for 8 gold mines in Nevada. And they have individuals on their team like Pete Chapman that is also credited with 3 gold mine discoveries in Nevada. So it's pretty impressive. No one that I'm aware of has got that kind of track record in the gold industry and gold exploration. We're very fortunate to be involved with them.
And Robert, not only do you have one of the top gold explorers, I mean, I saw a statistic that there's one out of thousands of deposits, one actually becomes a gold mine. And this guy's found several gold mines. And you have also the former CFO of Goldcorp and one of the past president of El Dorado. Talk to us about the team that is in place, the first-class board of directors, and the Cordex team, especially because it's really the people, especially in exploration, it's the people that really drive the value.
Right. Well, to comment first on those, those probability stats. Yeah, I've heard 1 in 1,000. I think that figure refers to 1 in 1,000 very early stage projects, but as early stage as it gets. And then as projects become better defined with actual targets on them, it's more like 1 in 200. So these are projects that actually have well-defined drill targets. But when you have a team that has an individual like Andy Wallace, that's probably more like 1 in 20. And we have quite a extensive portfolio now of well-defined targets on projects that have been selected by Andy. But putting aside the technical expertise, you're right. We have corporate and capital markets expertise in Russell Ball. Only a few months ago, he was the chief financial officer of Goldcorp. He's a director. Prior to being the CFO of Goldcorp, he was CFO of Newmont. So, those are 2 of the 3 largest gold mining companies in the world. Another director is Norm Pitcher. Norm is the former president of El Dorado, which, as you know, is a junior was a junior, now has more than $1 billion market cap. So we have, expertise on the management team at every level, technical, on the ground, corporate, and capital markets experience as well.
Robert, Allegiant owns 14 drill target projects and 11 located in Nevada, which most people who are investing in mining know that it's probably the top mining jurisdiction in the world. Talk to us about the projects that you're focused on, your portfolio, and being focused as a U.S. story, American Gold, Nevada.
Well, there's a number of things that make it unique. First, the portfolio is backstopped by a more advanced project. So it is an exploration portfolio, but our east side project presently has 750,000 ounces defined in a pit and additional ounces just outside the pit. And there's a drill program underway there, and we'll talk a bit more about that. And the other projects are earlier stage, but all have well-defined drill targets by Andy Wallace with gold at surface. And our intention is to drill 10 of our projects this year. Did that answer your question? I think there's a second part to the question, if you don't mind reiterating it.
Yeah, well, let's focus on that east side because that's really the focus right now. You came out with an update recently. I believe there's an extra drill rig being added. Maybe you can give us some. This east side is becoming, I guess, the flagship of the portfolio.
Yeah, east side, as I mentioned, is the most advanced asset. One thing, there are 2 drills turning there. There's an RC drill and a core drill active on the property now. We're drilling a total of about 50 holes with a clear objective of doubling the amount of ounces in the pit. So we think after this round of drilling, which will take us into September, we're aiming to double the amount of ounces and also significantly reduce the strip ratio to 3-to-1 or under 3-to-1. But just recalling the second part of your question, Jeb, you're asking elaborate a bit on the portfolio. I think the other aspect of our projects that are a bit unique are the fact that they're not projects that have been recycled. So of the 14 projects owned by Allegiant, you will never have heard of any of them. And that's because they were all identified by Andy and his team from grassroots prospecting. And this is how Andy has been successful in the past, getting out in the ground, getting his hands dirty, and just getting out there and finding gold in geological settings that have been known to host large gold deposits in Nevada, defining drill targets and drilling. And while that sounds pretty straightforward, nobody does that in Nevada anymore. The projects owned by other companies are essentially projects for the most part, and there's exceptions, but for the most part, they're projects that have been recycled. So they're projects that have been around for 20 or 30 years in some cases, and that are just coming back into the forefront in this new gold cycle that we're in and being repackaged and promoted again. Our projects are new, not recycled. They all have drill targets on them, and half of them have permits for drilling already obtained. So I think that's what makes the portfolio unique from other juniors in the sector. Now, getting back to east side, yeah, there's two drills at east side now. One's RC, one's core. The core drill is stepping out up to about 300 meters to the south of the existing pit. The RC drill is stepped out about 300 meters to the west. We've already announced, we've drilled 18 holes. We've announced results on 11, and we've been successful in extending mineralization up to 300 meters to the west, and we're in the middle of the drill program to the south, and looks promising so far. So our objective of doubling the ounces in the pit and reducing the strip ratio, because we're drilling in areas within the pit that are currently classified as waste, our objective seems to be realistic at this point.
And for investors, especially in the U.S. that are looking for U.S. stories, this has been only trading in the U.S. On the OTC for the past month, so it's still early. And the valuation, Allegiant's valuation, is pretty low compared to some of these other Nevada projects. So maybe you can comment on the early stage that we're at and the valuation compared to peers.
Right. Well, we've only been publicly traded for less than 2 months, just under 2 months. And you're quite right. We've only had our OTCQX listing for about a month. the OTCQX listing is vital because it really is a U.S. story. Our slogan's American Gold, which is very true. The reason Nevada is so important in the gold business in the United States and globally is because John Livermore, Andy Wallace's former partner, who's now passed away, discovered the Carlin mine in Nevada, and that was the start of a gold rush in Nevada in the 1960s, and that's established Nevada as the best place to be if you're in the gold business. Andy and our whole team is American. The majority of our shareholders are American. We have about 6,000 shareholders. About 4,000 are American. So you see it really is an American gold story. So it was vital for us to have an OTCQX listing so that Americans can trade the stock. Our valuation is extremely modest and reasonable. It has to do with being a new company. We, in going public, only assign value to the ounces that are inside the pit at the East Side project, about 760,000 ounces. We did not apply any value to the other more than 700,000 ounces classified as resources, but not inside the pit at East Side. Nor did we give any value to the upside provided by the other 13 projects, of which 9 of those are being drilled this year. That's all gravy for investors. So there's a lot of upside there. Compared to our peers, we're definitely undervalued, and I think that's a situation that will be rectified in the coming months.
And Robert, if you do make a discovery, the shares outstanding, fully diluted, are under 60 million shares. Of that, 40% is controlled by institutions and 11% by Columbus Gold, and about 50% of the stock is in a large retail base of over 6,000 shareholders. So if there is a discovery, the potential for the upside could be great, as there's very small shares outstanding. Could you talk to us about some of the share structure and some of your strong shareholder support?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we have 4,000 shareholders in the U.S., 2,000 shareholders in Canada, so a total of about 6,000. There's some in Europe and other parts of the world as well, but they form a small percentage on a relative basis. One of our largest shareholders is one of our most important shareholders is Van Eck. It's the largest gold fund in the United States. About half our shares are held institutionally, including Van Eck, and about half are held by retail holders. With only 50 million shares outstanding on a non-diluted basis, relative to other juniors, there are not a lot of shares outstanding. The share structure is fairly well held, in good hands and fairly tight. It's not often you see a junior in this sector with less than 50 million shares outstanding.
Robert Giustra, chairman of Allegiant Gold, which can be traded as AUAU on the TSX Venture and as AUXXF on the OTCQX. You can get more information on Allegiant Gold by going to their website, ALLEGIANTGold.com, ALLEGIANT gold.com, to get more information. Thanks, Robert, for being here with us today.
Thank you, Jeb. Enjoyed it. Thank you.